And Credo Mutwa, who is live on the line very early in the morning from South Africa, 78 years old, a man who has seen things in his nearly 80 years that are almost impossible to describe. He is, as I said, the official historian of his Zulu nation. He has accumulated vast amounts of knowledge about African history that has been screened out and, well, almost completely obliterated by a developed and westernized society. Credo, as you passed through initiation after initiation and were given over the years more and more ancient knowledge of your peoples and your civilization, how was the issue of extraterrestrials, or as you've referred to them, your elder brothers, presented to you?
Sir, first of all, can I make a correction here? We African people, at least here in Southern Africa, we the initiates of Antu, we do not believe that the creatures which rule us and which abduct us are extraterrestrials. We believe that they are children of the serpent who were created long before we human beings were created, and that they made God angry by practicing very bad magic. And some of them tried to fight against God, and God threw them away from this earth, and they ran away to certain stars in the sky. Stars such as the star which we call Iso Lenkanyamba, the eye of the dragon. Funnily enough, the star which we call Iso Lenkanyamba is in the same constellation that white people call the Draco. I don't know why this is so. Some of these beings ran away and found homes in the Muhambi constellation, the constellation of the walking giant, which the white people, they call it Orion. They ran away from our earth because they had done rubbish to God's creation, and God kicked them out. And when God had created us, these rascals came back and they started messing about with us. And the first thing that they are said to have done, they gave us fire. They gave us metals. And they put feelings in our hearts which made us insecure, jealous, power-hungry, and very, very destructive of the Mother Earth, which is our mother.
They put ego in human beings, is what you're saying?
Yes, they made human beings to... First, it is said that when they returned to our earth, they found us living in a beautiful earth. They found us without any language. We were incapable of speech. And they found us living in a land where we could not see the stars in the sky because there was always a heavy mist which covered the sun and the moon and the stars. So our minds were looking at the earth, and we thought that the earth was our heaven. And even today, there are still many African tribes, even amongst my people, the Zulus, who believe that heaven is under the earth and that the dead people are immortal under the earth, while there is also a later belief that the dead people go into the sky. It is said that these elder brothers, they removed the mist from the heavens so that we were able to see the stars, we were able to see the moon, we were able to see the sun, and we started longing to go up there, and we ignored the earth, we destroyed the earth in trying to get up there. And another thing, sir, it is said that these elder brothers of ours found us talking with each other through telepath. We were very telepath, powerful. And then they gave us language, but the language destroyed most of our telepathic powers, most of our powers of being able to dream about the future and the past. Also, the language divided us and made us very quarrelsome amongst ourselves on the basis of language. In other words, these elder brothers, the jealous ones, the whisperers of the dark law, they turned us against God by taking away our spiritual powers from us. Now, when you undergo high initiations, which involve even walking on fire, you are told these things that you must you must never allow the whisperers of the dark law to trap you with pride, to trap you with what you said there was ego, to trap you with ambition, because ambition was instilled into us in order to make us to consume the earth and so to destroy it.
Well, they've done a very good job, haven't they?
This is what causes my heart to bleed, sir. This is why I had to trust Mr. David Icke and to come close to him, because Africa is dying.
Yes.
Our people are being destroyed. And whether we believe this or not, a system of genocide, cold-blooded and deliberate and utterly unhuman, is being practiced in Africa everywhere. And what startles me and shakes my spirit is this. I used to travel through Africa before the Second World War, when I was quite young. And I traveled through Africa during the Second World War. Now, many of the tribes which I learned great knowledge from have been wiped out. They no longer exist anymore.
They're gone.
Whole community, they are gone, gone, finished. And this pattern is happening all over Africa. In the Sudan, in Uganda, in Kenya, there are tribes, and Angola, there are tribes which are no longer there anymore. They have been deliberately wiped out. And I ask myself, is there no one who pities Africa? Is there no one who sees what is being done to my people? Our leaders, our politicians seem to be criminally blind to what is going on in Africa. In Africa, sir, if you draw a map of Africa before you, you will find that all those countries where long civil wars are being waged are those countries which, if they were left to themselves, would feed Africa. The Sudan, Angola, Mozambique, these countries were once some of the biggest food producers in Africa. They fed the Portuguese Empire and the British Empire. Uganda was once the breadbasket of Africa. But whole populations have been wiped out. And if anyone thinks that I, a shaman of my people, can stand by and watch this crime, then they are mistaken. Because Africa is being killed.
Withering to contemplate about how many people are dying. Africa is imploding.
Africa is a phenomenal continent. That's the point. It's very, very important to the Illuminati. I mean, the British headed there, and for the British, really Illuminati in terms of the powers controlling that invasion. Indeed, the European expansion in general into Africa was Illuminati inspired, and the timescale was brought about by them. And you can follow the different streams of invasions of people from Europe into Africa, as you follow the different streams, you can actually show that from the first arrival of the European peoples in the Cape, maybe even earlier that, but officially in the Cape, right to the present day, and the ruling families that control that continent, they are connected all the way through. It's an unbroken stream, just the personnel have changed. And when you go to Africa, the idea that that continent cannot feed itself is utterly, utterly ludicrous. And indeed, Africa is just a wonderful example that tells the story of the world in terms of the manipulation. There is no reason for one single person, one single child in that continent to be hungry. No way, no need. But if you had abundance and people in Africa were left to rule themselves and to live their own lives, you would have abundance. Abundance equals choice, choice equals freedom. So what we have all around the world, and Africa is a fantastic example, is the creation of dependency through scarcity. So if you start wars, you destroy the food-growing land. If you fill the food-growing land with transnational corporations growing for the Western markets, etc., you create scarcity. Scarcity equals dependency, dependency equals control, and that's what's going on.
Indeed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll pause.
What has actually happened is that this reptilian group, which Credo calls the Chitahuri, came here, and I think it's fascinating what he says about the fact that they actually were here once and then went away and have come back. This would explain a lot of things about the compatibility between them and the human race in many ways. And they interbred with humanity, creating hybrid bloodlines. And when you follow the genealogy, and I'm really starting to compile some of this genealogy now of the ruling families of the world, and they go back to the ancient royal kings and rulers of the ancient Near and Middle East. Great numbers of them do. And that's what the Sumerian tablets and other ancient accounts say, the crossbreeds between the gods and humanity, that they were the positions they held, the royal ruling power of that area of the world. And now the genealogy is starting to show that the people in control of the world today, in banking, in politics, and etc., all these institutions of power, actually go back to that same group of bloodlines. And in effect, the bloodlines of the reptilians are running the planet, and they're the ones that end up in the positions of power. And what's fascinating about what Credo's saying is he was telling me when I was with him a few weeks ago that actually the royal lines of Black Africa fall into this same story.
They're all in
of claiming descendants from these gods. Yeah.
They're all in it. Wow, fascinating. Credo, tell us what these reptilians or elder brothers look like, and do they manifest themselves today? Do some people see them today in your world?
Yes, sir, they do. But because we human beings have got a very deadly weakness in us, we are conditioned only to see certain things and not to see others, to see certain shapes and not to see others. And many people seeing something like a reptile man will not be able to realize what they are seeing. Some of them become so rejecting of what they see that they don't see it at all. And this, you can also find this thing amongst animals. There are animals which are capable of seeing certain shapes, but not others. We are like that. Now, these creatures, we are told, stand about 6 feet or 7 feet high.
Yes.
They are very slender in appearance, and their arms and legs are flexible. Where our arms have got knees, their arms and legs they seem to have no joints, but they seem to be made entirely of flexible stuff. And another thing, sir, they have got scaly skin, and they have got 2 eyes or 3 eyes. The warrior, they go into classes. The warrior class has got 2 eyes only, which are very, very terrible like those of a python, which is why we call them Ntwari, Moon Ntwari, that is a human being python. And the higher class have got 3 eyes, one in the center of their foreheads. The big class have got horns on their heads, or horn-like protuberances, of which there are 2, one above on either side of the head. And the warrior class have got a number of short upward turning horn-like things on their heads. Now, what I find amazing, sir, is this, that in some films which have been made nowadays, there is a film called Star Wars, the recent one.
Yes, yes.
In that Star Wars film, sir, there is, amongst its characters, there is a Chitauli exactly. He is called Maul, Darth Maul. And that is exactly how a warrior Chitauli looks like, with a large head, very cold eyes, and small horns forming like a crown all around his head. And African wood covers locked up in museums all over the world are carvings from Africa which show human-like creatures with horns all around their heads.
Fascinating, fascinating. We'll pause and come right back and carry on with Credo Mutwa and David Icke in just a couple of minutes. And back with Credo. Credo, when you saw the Reptilian in the Star Wars film, what went through your mind? Did you view it as an intent to make people familiar with this being, or some incredible accident? How did you see it?
You know, sir, I do not understand the traditions of the white people, unfortunately. But I was amazed. This filmmaker, how did he come to know about such a creature? Because exactly as Darth Maul is portrayed in the film, that when my now late wife saw a magazine article on this film, she pointed out, this is a Chitauli. This is one of our elder brothers. I had not noticed it because I don't read much. But when I looked, I was really startled. Right down to the color, the striped red and black. I asked myself, where do these film producers see these creatures? It can't be their imagination.
Credo, the idea of reptilians, some people look at it metaphorically. They see it as a symbol of an evil in men's hearts and minds, a controlling class of humanity. Others, as yourself, say that the reptilians are quite real, three-dimensional, flesh and blood. Do they occupy the same real-time space on this planet as we do? Do they live here with us, or are they from another dimension? How does it work in your heritage and your history?
You mean amongst the African peoples?
Yes.
Say, the Chitauli, the whisperers of the dark law, our elder brothers, are here with us. And please, let nobody think I am crazy when I say this. I'm asking all thinking people to investigate. Do you know, sir, where you will find these beings? As real as you are, you will find them on the edges of deserts, in the Sahel region of Africa. Ask the tribes people there, and even now in this electronic age, they will tell you about half men who are only half, who have got only one arm and one leg, and the other part of their body is invisible. People in South Africa, on the edge of the Kalahari Desert, will tell you exactly the same thing. And at one time, I was exploring with a great explorer in South Africa, Mr. Adrian Boschia. When we saw, there were 3 of us walking through the bush, a tribesman, myself, and Mr. Boschia. And we came across a strange footprint in the loose sand. It was like a footprint of a bird, a large bird, but with 4 toes. And this tribesman screamed and ran away. And Mr. Boschia shouted at him to come back. And because he was guiding us to a hole which we were going to investigate, a cave. And this tribesman said, I'm not coming back. This is a demon which has walked here. Mr. Boschia, who was a disbeliever, said, come on, Ahman, this is a bird that walked here. But the tribesman said, no bird, this is demon. And I agreed with him. The footprint was not that of a bird, any bird that I knew. It was too large to be that of a bird. It was not an ostrich, but a 4-footed reptile-like creature. And Mr. Boschia afterwards said we mustn't even talk about what we had seen. Said, the Chitauli are real, and I have reason to believe that they are destroying Africa and my people as part of a strange strategy of their own. And they can change they can appear as real human beings. They change shapes. And
now, they can take on the form of a human being. Is it actually a physical form of a human being, or are they somehow telepathically able to project into the people seeing them that they look human?
I don't know, sir, but I can tell you there is something that has been happening for many, many generations in the province of Natal in South Africa.
I've heard of it.
There is a church where a strange light is often seen. And if you are a Christian, this light becomes like the Virgin Mary, complete with features. And if you are a Hindu, you see her as a Hindu goddess. And if you are a member of our traditional religions like myself, you see her as the great Earth Mother. So this creature, whatever it is, which has been seen by hundreds of people, shapes itself according to what you believe in.
Understand.
And this phenomenon is very, very common. And here is another thing. Please, people who have been kidnapped by the Mandindan, the grey aliens,
okay, yes, go ahead.
Should have their ancestry checked, because the grey aliens who work for the Chitauli do not just kidnap anybody. They kidnap special people, and in the blood of those people, they look for something. I don't know what it is. For example, I am an abductee myself. I've got injuries on my thighs which no weapon has ever made. I've got a hole in my left thigh which you can put your finger right up to the middle, your thumb right up to the middle. And many people like that who were taken by the Mandindan, when I check into their ancestry, I find that they were descended from chiefs or from noblemen and high officials of a tribe in ancient times. I am sure that all people throughout the world who are kidnapped have a trace of the reptile blood in them. And the Mandindane are looking for this substance to keep their masters alive, because we are told that there are very few of the Chitauli and that they have got problems reproducing, which is why they impregnate earth women. And also, they have sicknesses where their skin comes off at a certain stage, and they need the special blood of special human beings in order to survive. Hence the many kidnappings.
I understand. Okay, we'll pursue this further in just a couple of minutes. David, so we have, again, confirmation of abduction from an African shaman of great stature, one of the only two surviving Sanusis left. He is the official historian of the Zulu nation. The abduction phenomenon does not seem to be something particular to the Western world, once again.
Yeah, I mean, Africa's been forgotten so much in the UFO research community. Again, if it doesn't happen in Europe or North America, then it's not happening. And yet the stories and the information that's in Africa waiting to be discovered is just staggering. For instance, we're still arguing about whether aliens were captured at Roswell. Well,
right.
African tribespeople have been finding them, and one of the most amazing things that Credo talks about
hold on right there, David.
are not the graves.
Right, hold on, we'll come back and pursue that. It's a remarkable program, amazing information for you to consider, and we'll be back. All right, let's go back to Credo here. Credo, we've done many, many programs about the abduction issue with the little grays. It's also been commonly discussed that people who are abducted, when they can talk to their mothers or fathers, will usually find that their mothers or fathers, and in some cases their grandparents, will have also abduction experiences and memories if they'll talk about them. So it seems to be something that is followed throughout generation after generation, as you have suggested is going on in your country as well. What are, Credo, what are the Greys, and who do they work for?
Say, the Mandindane, the tormentors, the torturers, as they are called amongst my people, are the servants of the Chitauli, the beasts of the Silo Sengubo, the beasts of the terrible blanket. They are all one and the same race. The Mandindane have no genitals. In other words, they are drones for the Chitauli, who are capable of reproducing. The Mandindane find medicine, so our great teachers tell us, for the Chitauli to keep them alive. For example, say, the kidnapping of people goes back hundreds of years amongst my people. Zulu warriors, when they went to battle, used to wear a very strange object on the tips of the organs of manhood, say, a grass cap. This grass cap was not worn for modesty or for protecting the genitals. It was worn because when warriors were an army moving through the bush to attack a faraway tribe, they were followed, and some of them were kidnapped and drained of semen by the Mandindane. Now this grass cap used to endanger the Zulu warrior's life, because sometimes when the battle really got hot, the grass cap got between the warrior, came off the tip of the warrior's penis, and it got between his thighs, causing him to fall down and get killed. But they had to wear this thing, which are many of which are still being made by craftsmen today, in order to protect themselves from the Mandindane. My mother was kidnapped in 1918 some years before I was born. And then she was kidnapped again with me as a baby. And she could not account for the several hours of time she had lost. And her father beat her up thinking that she was a liar.
He beat her up thinking she was a liar.
Say, my grandfather beat her up thinking that she had gone to meet her boyfriend, but she had disappeared with me on her back, according to some old women who later told me the story. And she reappeared a few hours later, not knowing where she had been. Now, this phenomenon, sir, is very, very common in Africa and South Africa. And nobody has ever bothered to really research it. And one thing, sir, is this. We human beings must accept that we are not alone in this world. The proof that there were other great civilizations before us is overwhelming. Here in South Africa, for example, a huge rock was cut up by machines, a rock many millions of years old. The scientists wanted to use that stone to line the insides of the jet pipes of guided missiles. And inside this stone, which is called pyrophylline, were found incredible spheres made of metal about the size of a golf ball.
I've seen pictures of them, Credo. They're round, perfectly round spheres, and they have grooves cut along the equator, 2, 3, 4 grooves, perfectly around these metal spheres.
Yes, and what happens if you put one of those metal spheres on a table, say, and watch it for several hours? It rotates in sympathy with the earth. You can see it actually rotating without a power source, without a source of energy. This must have been technology many, many millions of years ahead of our time.
I was told that those were found in rock that was in excess of 1 billion years old.
Yes, sir. These things are made by intelligent entities. And anyone who doubts that who says that we are the first civilization on this planet, sir, is mad. And the sooner we look into this phenomenon, like thinking people, the better for our own survival. Say, let me tell you one thing, and share this with your listeners, please, and also with Mr. David Icke. Is he there?
I'm here, Credo, yeah.
Say, will you please tell the honorable presenter, say, what did I show you which was found? Do you remember the X-ray I showed you?
Right, yeah.
Of Cecilia's womb, of the strange artifact which was found inside her womb. This artifact killed Cecilia. I should really not be talking so in public, but I'm dedicating this talk to my departed wife. Cecilia was not killed by the cancer that she was suffering from. She died very suddenly. Her blood pressure dropped exactly 3 weeks after I received a death threat threatening her. Say, the Chitawuli or the conspirators, or call them what you will, are active now, and they are interfering even with our private lives. I can tell you things that will shake you, but for which there are witnesses, how I myself am being destabilized even now.
David Icke?
By men, sir?
I was going to ask David to comment. Go ahead, Credo, finish.
Sir, today in South Africa there are so-called security firms, which somehow are connected to bigger security firms in England and elsewhere. These firms supply bodyguards for important people, and some of these bodyguards were given where I was given over to them that they should look after my affairs, to look after my money and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But they started interfering with my personal life. They started chasing away wise men and women whom I had gathered around me for many years in order to make a group of wise people which would help our people in South Africa. And also everything that I try to do, everything that I try to create is subtly destroyed by these men, mercenaries interfering with human lives in South Africa, even as we are talking. Say, I have a plan to save the rhinos from extinction by offering the Chinese who buy rhino horn as an aphrodisiac dehydrated ostrich eggs, which is a true aphrodisiac. But my plan has been frustrated by some of these men. And you know, sir, if people doubt that there is a conspiracy, let them tell me, why is Africa being murdered and by whom? If there are no Chitauli, why are there senseless wars ravaging my country? If there are no reptilians, why are we seeing men and women on this planet who seem to be virtual immortals? Should I mention a name?
Go ahead, just for fun.
Say, there are men on this earth who appear to be deathless.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Henry Kissinger is one.
I was going to say, there's certainly some men who seem to be very healthy in their latter years, and Henry Kissinger is certainly one of them, no doubt. David,
Mr. George Bush is another.
Yeah, he looks great. They both do. They're getting some kind of special treatment, or
you know, sir, we human beings must think very deeply now. We claim to be masters of our own destiny. We are not. We claim to be in charge of our path in life. We are not.